Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Red Rooster Coffee Podcast. I'm Hayden, as always, and I'm super excited today to be joined by Tiff Virtue, who is our customer experience head here at Red Rooster Coffee. I'm excited to have Tiff today because when I think about people who are like absolutely perfectly suited for their roles at Red Rooster, Tiff is at the top of my list. I think if you have ever had to call Red Rooster Coffee or email Red Rooster Coffee for any reason and you've had an interaction with Tiff, you already know what I'm talking about. But I think today we're going to just explore Tiff's mindset and a little bit of what makes customer service work for us at Red Rooster. So, Tiff, welcome. Thanks for taking the time out of what is becoming more and more busy as the holidays approach. And I want to start by just talking about how you got here, what led you here. Because I know, some of your early experiences in customer service were like working for chain restaurants like Panera Bread, for example.
Yeah. I have a background in, did some human resources at Panera Bread, was the general manager for a few years as well. After that, did some work in Florida and worked for the Masters of Social Work program at St. Leo University. And after that, managed a gym. So I think there was a period of time in my life where I was searching for my niche, and I've always found that I'm good at a lot of things, but I don't love a lot of things. So, and it's hard, when you're really good at something, but you think to yourself, I'm not sure if I really love this. So I had recently moved from Florida back to Virginia in 2020, and I was looking for a position. And like you said, I did have some experience in restaurant work, and I saw the job posting out here in Floyd. And I spent a lot of time out here in Floyd as a teenager, and I love the area and the community. And I thought, why not? There was something about the job posting that caught my eye. I obviously Googled the company because that's what we do when we're looking for a new job. We want to make sure these people aren't crazy. And I loved the mission.
The right kind of crazy.
Right kind of crazy. I loved the mission. I loved the smiles. I came to visit actually once before I came to interview, and I loved the atmosphere and the welcome that I received, and found out that I actually had connections with a lot of the staff that work here. So I was excited to interview after that, and the rest is history. And I've been here for 4 years and 2 months. Who's counting?
Okay. I don't think I could be that specific about how long I've been here.
August 12th, 2021, in case anybody was wondering, that's when I was hired. And I love it here. And I think Red Rooster is a place that I've found that I can be good at what I do, but I can also love what I do. And that's a combination that's really hard to find. So I think at my core, I've found what I was looking for was I love supporting people, and I love having the opportunity to make somebody's day. And that might sound really simple, but I have that here. I get that opportunity every day with every email and texts or social media reply, and it's great for me.
Well, that's really encouraging, and I'm sure not everybody has that experience with their work, so that's exciting. I think you started in the cafe, right? You started as assistant manager to India, who was our managing partner there. And so you had a kind of introduction to customer service that was on the like barista level and face-to-face customer interactions, which, presents its own challenges, I think. And I think we do a pretty good job of it in the cafe. I think we work really hard to have our mission and our values come through in our customer service. And I think a lot of that has to do with the attitude that we bring towards the customer, which, from my position where I sit is that the customer allows us to be a business, even though they can be challenging sometimes.
Absolutely. I think that customer experience is so important as a company because you're literally selling your passion. And I've said this so many times to folks when they ask me what I do and I say it's customer service, they're like, "Ooh, I'm so sorry." But for me, every day is an opportunity. And I like to look at it from the perspective of um, when you go to a restaurant and you sit down and you eat and the food is great and you're talking with your family and you're having this experience, um, you don't always remember the food. I feel like we remember the service. We remember the environment. We remember how it made us feel. You could cook food at home, but you can't receive service at home. So I feel like 80% of what we do is making sure our customers have an experience. For me, it's not customer service and it's customer experience. And there's a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've evolved over the years to see it that way. To say, what are we providing really here is that each element of what we do has to be right, and that the experience that the customer has is the sort of totality of that. To me, I think specialty coffee presents some unique customer service challenges, but also like great opportunities. And so I just wonder, first of all, is there a moment where you were working for us and you were and you had like a crossover moment to where you were like, "Oh, the coffee is making the experience different."
Yes. In my experience now, I think it was very different when I started. But now that I've been in the specialty coffee world a little longer, I've noticed this trend of, I get this question a lot of specialty coffee that just sounds like fancy marketing, or that just sounds, what is it? What does that mean? And I think one of my biggest hurdles has been trying to make that connection with people of what specialty coffee actually is.
You come to Red Rooster Coffee, you come from places where more commercial coffee, is the centerpiece of their coffee program, where coffee is maybe more of an afterthought. And you come to a place where coffee is the primary thing that we do. It's pretty much all we think about all day long. And then you have to learn that, and then you have to be able to explain that to the customer in a way that says, like, this is why it's different. And, how was it for you making that transition? And then how have you, come to understand people's misconceptions about what specialty coffee is?
Well, when I started working here, I didn't even know coffee was a fruit. I don't think I understood what coffee was in general. I guess I just thought it came in a can, and that's how it came.
It's made in a factory somewhere.
Yeah.
It just comes in a can.
Right. Yeah.
And you pour it into a filter and brown water comes out.
Yeah, there's little coffee fairies that make it happen. I think that the thing I try to focus on a lot when I'm talking to a new customer who doesn't have an idea of what specialty coffee is I never want us to come off as pretentious. I never want a customer to overthink it or overcomplicate it. So the education piece of it, mixing that with basic customer service skills is hard.
So do you get a lot of people who are specialty coffee hesitant, or sort of like they have a resistance to it because they think, look, I just want regular coffee. I just want it to be good, or I just want it strong, or, do you think that the industry has positioned itself to be intimidating to people?
I think so in some ways. I think when a customer hears specialty coffee, they're very much like, oh, well, I'm sure I have to have expensive equipment. I'm sure I have to find the most expensive thing. And then they go and they Google search specialty coffee, which is the worst thing you could possibly do, is what I tell people. Like, please don't do that. Don't do that ever, because you're going to find all of these articles and Instagram reels and roaster Facebook pages and content just like this. And they're going to say, we do this way, and we have this kind of coffee, and it's from this region, and it's at this altitude, and it has this score, and you're going to be really confused and really overwhelmed really fast if you don't have an idea of what you're watching. And so I like to start with, let's talk about what you already drink. Tell me what you look for when you drink your coffee. Do you like it bold? Do you like it in your face? If you use the term, French roast with me, that gives me a great idea. And I'll tell people, you could look at me and say, I just like coffee, and that's a good place to start for me, because we can build off of that. And for me, that's where I like to start. I like to start in this place of like, tell me what you already drink. Tell me what you enjoy. Tell me what you don't like about your coffee. And we can go from there,
Yeah, absolutely. My own personal curiosity is, like, how many customers would you say are like a percentage of customers that come to you that are new to specialty, that are like, I just like coffee, I use a French press, or, I just have an auto drip, but I'm trying to do better, versus people who are familiar with specialty coffee, who know that coffee is a fruit, that it can taste fruity, that it can taste fermenty. Like, what's the percentage?
If I had to guess, I would probably say 60%.
60% of people who are just looking who are looking to elevate their current coffee game but don't know much about specialty?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I say that because I think it also speaks a little bit to our growth a little bit. I base that statistic off of recently. We've had a lot of new customers. So this particular issue has been but conversation has been a big one for me lately, because I feel more and more people are coming over to the specialty coffee world and are interested, and which I think is a great thing, because it should be shared. I don't think it should be this scary, like, niche, pretentious thing that everybody thinks it is. Well, it's really not.
It was like that when we were starting out, because the third wave of coffee was very new. There were a lot of new roasters on the scene who were roasting much lighter than, Peet's or Starbucks or what have you. I mean, lots of second wave or more sort of like roast forward companies were in the mix. And then there was this influx of companies like ours in the early 2010s that were roasting a lot lighter, and we're also like making a stand on like, this is how coffee should be. This is the correct way to roast coffee. This is the correct way to brew coffee, and sort of really presenting themselves as the experts in a way that was, to my mind, intimidating. I was intimidated by it, even though I was sort of participating in it in a certain way. And then I think the edges kind of soften, as you get to know more customers and you learn more about people's tastes. And so you want to meet them where they are, right? And you want to say, like, maybe we can evolve together, or maybe we can actually find something that meets you right where you are and just satisfies you perfectly. And like, we're buying premium coffee, paying high premiums, for quality and for certifications. And so we're doing our part on the green coffee side. And if this is the coffee that you like, then great. That's wonderful for all of us.
I'm a firm believer that if you have quality coffee, for the most part, no matter how you brew it, it's going to be pretty good. I just a couple weeks ago helped a customer find a $20 blade grinder on Amazon. It's because that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
He grew up and his dad used a blade grinder every day. And he said, I have this really expensive, or I bought this really expensive burr grinder that I have at home, and I don't like it. I don't like the taste.
Really? That's fascinating.
And the specialty coffee industry, of course, well, not all, but it's a stereotype that burr is better, right? It gives you a more even grind.
I think it's an objective truth personally, but at the same time.
Yeah. So, but that didn't suit this customer's needs. He was looking for a very specific flavor profile. I ended up setting him up with our organic Nicaragua, and he wanted something bold, something that was more akin to a what's the word? A high level diner coffee. He wanted that traditional bite,
He was looking for something nostalgic.
Yes.
He was looking for something that he had a memory of that he couldn't put his finger on.
Right.
And coffee can do that to you. I mean, coffee has so many sort of like sense memory indicators, that just allow people. I mean, my feeling is that we get so many people who say, well, like, I had the best coffee of my life in Hawaii. I had the best coffee of my life when I was in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
But those best cups of coffee of their life are a package deal.
It's ambiance.
You're right. They come with everything. Like,
right.
Okay, yes, you were at the farm in Hawaii. They roasted it in front of you. Mm-hmm. You drank it, and you were looking out, into the jungles and the, the amazing environment. Of course,
it was delicious.
Of course, it was the best coffee you ever had.
Yeah.
Right? Even though if you and I were to drink that coffee here compared to what we're drinking right now, we would be like, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think finding a way to bring that experience to our customers through a screen or over the phone is hard.
That's a challenge.
But it's my goal.
Yeah.
It's, I have asked a customer before, they say to me, I'm looking for a coffee that I can buy for Thanksgiving this year. My family can have it. And I'm like, well, what does your house smell like normally? What do you guys bake? Do you guys bake like a pumpkin pie every year? Do you, tell me a little bit about what your family likes. Do they like cream and sugar? Do you have like an aluminum canister of half and half that sits on your table? I try, of course it's not this intricate every time, but there are moments where I try to remember, okay, I'm not just looking for coffee for this one person. I'm looking for coffee for this person's whole family. So I need, in my mind, that's taking it to the next level, and asking those deeper questions is an example of an elevated experience of excellence. And those are some of the things that I think about. And it's every circumstance is different, but yeah.
Well, I mean, so many different coffees could probably satisfy that person.
Mm-hmm.
So many different coffees from any, great coffee roasting company in the country. But I would argue that when they sit down with their family to brew that coffee, that if they've had a positive experience like that, then they're more willing to share it with their family, that experience.
I'm their Hawaii.
You're their Hawaii over the phone. And that it actually will make it taste better. Like that experience shared with their family to say, I had this amazing conversation with this person who pointed me to this coffee, specifically for this meal. And let's enjoy it together. I mean, it's really eye-opening, because I think that we spend a lot of time in our interactions with customer service hoping that it will be over soon, right? We're going to return something to a company because we didn't like it, it didn't fit, it, wasn't as advertised, and we're irritated. So we go to their chat bot and we say, I want to return this. And they say, okay, let me connect you to an agent or what have you. And all you want to do is just confirm that it's returned. Just confirm it and send me the thing and let me get out of here, because I came here in a negative space, right? How often does that happen to you? And then how can you sort of like flip the script? How do you take that on? It's kind of a dual question. First, how do you flip the script? And then how do you personally let it go when somebody is upset?
Sure. I come out of the gate with absolutely we'll take care of this for you. And because you're right, in those moments, and I'm sure that this moment of frustration over this product or what have you that we're trying to return in this hypothetical situation, there is so many other things that happened to that person that day. All they want to hear is that we're going to take care of it. And anything that I can do to set the tone for the conversation as soon as possible, that's the goal. So I will, say things like, that sounds really awful. We would love to fix that for you. Or thank you so much for reaching out and giving me the opportunity to make your day better, because it sounds like you've had a really crappy one. I think that finding a way to connect with that person and meet them where they're at, that's step one. Because while it can be absolutely frustrating for me at moments, I would be lying if I said there wasn't a moment where I'm just like, deep breaths. But that's the nature of the human experience, is we're not perfect. And I'm a very empathic person by nature. And I try to go for the heart first, and make sure that that person knows they can trust me, knows they're not talking to a robot AI, or, knows that the person on the other end of the screen is ready to help them. And I think that's step one. So just in however that tone is established, it's different for every person, but I always try to make a personal connection with every customer, even if it's been an unsavory conversation. There's always a way forward, and there's always progress to be made.
Do you think that people come to that conversation with a negative expectation, or are most people like here to try and resolve whatever issue they have?
I think if they're a new customer, there's no relationship established, so they don't know me. Yeah. And I actually joke sometimes for those of you who have spoken to me before, and maybe you remember our first interaction. There's this moment that I always have where I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know me yet, but you're gonna, because I'm going to take care of you and everything's going to be fine. And then you're going to trust me, and then you're not going to stress every time you reach out.
I mean, you have a lot of customers that you have built relationships with over
Absolutely.
time, like that you talk to all the time.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to John. I don't know if he's watching this, but I won't say your last name because I don't know if you'd be cool with that. But I have a customer who, he's an older gentleman. He lives on his own, and man, that guy loves coffee. He's retired, and he is not a computer guy. Doesn't do the computer thing, which is fine, and has never been a problem. And he calls me every month on the dot. And every time he answers the phone, he says the same thing. Tiffany, is that you? It's me, John. How's it going? And we talk coffee for a good 20, 30 minutes. And we figure out, he loves to select from our newer offerings. He never wants to drink the same thing twice. And we always have a good solid rotation. So he loves that. And we just have a great conversation, and we get his coffee ordered, and I just take the order manually. And then he tells me a joke at the end of every conversation. And I look forward to that every single month when he calls. And there's so many more like that. Yeah, it's really special to me. And that's what it's about. And I would love to be able to get to a point in my customer experience role to where all of our customers who call and talk to me, they feel like they're just talking to a friend. They're not,
It feels like in this day and age, people are so resistant to get on the phone. Obviously, John seems like he's of a generation that, used the phone and still comfortable with the phone. Do you feel like there's a generational gap where there's like younger people who just don't want to
Oh, yeah.
just don't want to engage like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Do you have other methods that you like use to communicate with them?
so we obviously have the chat feature on our website, but we also have the texting feature. So I find that a lot of the younger generation, it's either email or text, and that's fine with me. And yeah, so I would say there's definitely a bit of a gap there.
So you're messaging with people either through the chat bot, and then you have to sort of say, I'm a real person now?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know if there's a picture or if it's just our logo, but when you go to our website, there's a little chat box in the bottom right-hand corner. If you click on that box, you're going to get me. Now, you might get one or two other people, depending on if I'm actually here that day, which usually I am. But there's a couple other people in the building that do those sorts of things too. But people are always surprised to find out. So if I call, I get you. And I say yes. If I email, I get you. Yes. Yes, you're going to get me.
I mean,
You're one person.
We're not that big of a company.
No,
so.
absolutely not. But yes, so I definitely find that I can be flexible with all different methods of communication. And I think there are a lot of companies that are they're sticklers about, they don't want you to call and answer and place an order over the phone.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I don't see the big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who don't want to have direct customer service interaction. A lot of companies who just want you to fill out the contact form, which I always find infuriating, especially if it's like a small to mid-sized company that it just says fill out the contact form. You think, well, I really actually have a very specific question that I would like answered.
Okay.
And
that sounds
I
scary.
hate filling out the form. No, I'm not saying of you.
No.
But I actually do want to ask, the chat bot that we use has some sort of like AI function in it, right? That's like, if somebody asks a question off hours, it will respond to them. And how deep does it go? What are people's response to that? Yeah, we'll start there. I have a follow-up question to that. I
have dubbed our AI Rudy the Rooster. Sometimes Rudy the Rooster really fails me with his answers. Yeah. I don't mind the AI chatbot. I think that a lot of our customers, it's a bit of a turnoff sometimes to see, powered by AI at the bottom of the screen. But really, it's my job to make sure that the AI is only answering those surface questions. I primarily use it for, like tracking notifications, shipping notifications. I have trained the AI to detect, if it's a personal question or a specific, like I'd like a coffee recommendation. I don't have AI answer those because I want those interactions. Those are mine. But it helps after hours. If somebody's looking for their tracking number or they want to update their address, it's certainly helpful. But I find that a lot of customers prefer talking to a human. Not to say that AI is not useful in those moments, because certainly if we're not here and a customer has a question, I love having the ability to get them an answer.
My follow-up question is, where do you see it in 2 years? Do you think that AI will advance enough that it can suitably give the essence of a human interaction to a customer? Do you feel like people are gravitating towards wanting to get away from talking to humans, or that the feeling of talking to a human about something that's as personal as coffee is still valuable?
That's a great question.
It's a tough one because we don't really know how fast or far the technology is going to go, but we could imagine a world in which they speak to us with human voices. I mean, that's happening now. And that they could learn enough about our company and our product in a matter of seconds to make a pretty educated guess on what somebody would like to drink.
Right.
They.
I think, in my own personal opinion, whatever your thoughts and feelings on AI, no judgment, that's fine. I'm big on human connection. And while I like to use AI for, like I said, those more logistical things, I worry that in 2 years we might see, the world already feels a little disconnected as far as communication goes. And
a lot.
I would like to see that not develop further. So I hope that we can continue to use it in a logistical manner. But when we start getting into the idea that AI can, act more human-like, if you will, can have personal conversations with customers, and something as personal as, yeah, I can absolutely figure out what you would like to drink. Tell me your favorite color and all of these other things, and upload me with this data, and I'll give you the perfect coffee. I don't know if I love that.
And then I'll sell your data.
Right, exactly. I don't know if I love that idea. So I would rather make that connection.
I mean, I think if I were modeling an AI to be empathic, to have empathy for a customer, I would model it after you. I mean
Stop
that, though, because you have a deeper ability to do that than I do, and that's why you have the job that you have. I wonder. I'm curious, just as my nature and the way that I've been thinking about things is that I'm curious about how the sort of sycophantic element of the AI chatbots enters into customer service, because of course it's starting to sort of like come into that level of human interaction by providing some like levels of, minor levels of therapy, like talk therapy with people. There are services that offer that there. And of course, there are people who are having, developing friendships with AI chatbots. But for me, whenever I have a sort of conversation with one of those, I can't stand the like sycophancy. I can't stand how they just say yes to everything I say. It drives me insane. But that may be a good thing for customer service.
I also will say yes to most of what you ask of me. If you email Red Rooster, most of it within my power. But yeah, there's just something about knowing that there's this empty sentience that you're talking to. And again, just my personal opinion, but I don't see how we could ever, as a society, feel completely 100% comfortable knowing we were talking to this sentient being that doesn't exist, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. It's the question. It's one of the main questions of our age right now, and we're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out. But enough about AI. We could talk.
Scary topic.
We could really talk all day about it. Let's talk about the singularity. No, let's talk about your favorite customer interactions. And I'm sort of interested about those interactions that allow you to unfold a certain level of education, and like, how do you know when to do that? How do you know like how to go deep with somebody? And then like just I don't want to put anybody on blast, but I don't know if you have any stories about things that have just gone terribly wrong, because obviously it can't go right all the time.
Not all the time, but I'll make sure it does 99% of the time. Well, we'll start off with my favorite story. I'll keep names out of it, but this is a good story. I have a customer. She's Indonesian. and her favorite coffee of ours is the Farmhouse Breakfast Blend. And it's not the Farmhouse Breakfast Blend itself that she loves. It's the way that she takes it home and prepares it. She gets a pat of butter and puts it on her stove. She pours in our already roasted Farmhouse. And
the beans?
Yep, whole
Okay,
beans,
okay.
mind you. And she roasts it further on her stovetop on medium heat. She adds a little bit of nutmeg and roasts it on the setting for I think she said 10 to 15 minutes. And then she grinds it up and she drinks it. And it's nostalgic for her. It's how her mother used to make it. And that's how she makes her coffee. So I say all
So
that to
she
say.
sautés it.
She does.
And does she
Butter.
further the roast? I mean, does she make it darker?
On medium heat, I'm not sure how much she's getting. Plus, with the added fat of the butter and the coating, I'm not sure how far this is going. But it reminds me, it's sort of like bulletproof coffee
Yeah,
in a way.
absolutely. I want to go home and try this now.
Yeah. So she.
Except for I don't want to put butter in my grinder.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. But so she calls me. And this is when I met this customer. She calls me and she explains this process to me. And she says, I'm just calling to ask you if I'm crazy. Is this okay that I do this? And I said, well, do you like the result? Do you like the cup that you get? And of course she says yes. And I said, well, then you're doing it the right way. And I think that a lot of to touch on the harder conversations that I have to have, I will say 99% of our customers, I mean, they're incredible. I very rarely have to have an unsavory conversation with anybody. However, usually it's frustration around the way that they're brewing. They can't quite get the right result that they want.
Yeah. Do you think that people bring they're buying pre-ground coffee and then they switch to whole bean and trying to get the ratios right?
Yeah, grind. Oh my God, grind levels are just it's hard, and it's hard to I'm not there with you, and I do offer to FaceTime people. They very
Really?
rarely take me up on it. Yeah, but I've done it before. I'm I'll set up a Google Meet and I'll take 5 minutes and I'll look at what you're doing. It might be easier for me to see what you're doing. And I think that touches back on that next level experience. I have time. I am paid.
I see the problem. You're using a blender.
Yes.
You need to be using the coffee maker over in the corner.
Yes, absolutely. They're like, you really want to call me and look at my messy kitchen? And I'm like, I have 2 kids. You should see my kitchen at home. I really don't care what your kitchen looks like. I care that what's in your coffee cup tastes good. So that's kind of a broader story, because I have done that on multiple occasions with some customers, is just take 5-minute video really quick. This is my kitchen. This is my kettle. This is my blade grinder that's rusted and broken. I have no idea why my coffee tastes weird. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna clean this blade grinder. And oh, well, I've never done that before. Okay, well, let me Google it really quick. What's the brand? And it's a step-by-step process. And I think I say all of this to say, when I have a customer who is really struggling with something and they're struggling with it to the point of frustration, it's these things that make them feel safe. It's nobody wants to have a problem and contact a company and the company say, I'm so sorry you're having that problem. Have you tried this? And you probably tried it already.
Or here's the solution. Spend $400.
Right. Or, here's a list of things. If it's not that, sorry about it. Please feel free to reach back out if you have any further questions. I hate that sentence. So building that trust, it takes 5 minutes of my time to offer to give you a phone call, to offer to give you a face-to-face, to, yeah, sure, somebody could Google the instruction manual for their weird off-brand grinder they bought on Amazon, but I could also do that for you, and I've got time.
That actually reminds me of Apple, is that you get really good customer service from Apple, and when they call you, if you have a problem and you click through the support and then say you click, yes, I'd like a phone call, and you schedule the time, the people who call you are typically pretty awesome.
They're so nice.
They want to help you. They're super nice. and they go step by step with you until your problem is solved. And
Absolutely.
that's something to aspire to, and it feels like we do. I mean, my office is around the corner from you, and so I often hear you. Daily, I hear you on the phone with customers, chatting them up, getting to the bottom of it. The phrase that echoes around the office is that when you hang up with a like really great customer, you can hear Tiff hang up and say, "What a nice man," or "What a nice woman," "What a nice lady." But I think it's that you get what you give. I think that yes, customers are intimidated by specialty coffee. Yes, so many new customers that might find us through some digital ad somewhere that led them to us. They feel like they're taking a risk by buying our
Absolutely.
coffee, right?
It's expensive too.
Right. I mean, one could say that certainly compared to grocery store coffee, if they're used to spending $11 at the grocery store for a commercial coffee that, the sort of like purports to be higher end, and then we're asking them to spend twice that or more, then they're taking a big risk. And so when they call you, they might be feeling that way. They might be feeling
Absolutely.
like, hey, I just spent $28 on a bag of coffee for the
Send
first
help.
yeah. The first time in my life, right? I spent that much money on coffee because your website said it was the best one on. It scored 96 on
Top
Coffee Review.
1%. What does it mean?
Yeah. And then they're like, it's not doing what it's supposed to do in my kitchen. It's not changing my life. Help me.
Yeah. What do I do? Yeah. My favorite question, or my favorite, I guess maybe this is more of a statement, that customers who are suffering this exact scenario will say to me, this coffee is just so bitter. It's just so sour. It's so,
And
it's
those are two different
two different
those are actually
worlds.
two different things, bitter and sour.
Right.
And so then you have to sort of like parse like, well,
Right.
what are we referring to here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a part of the struggle is especially if they're new to specialty coffee, they don't know what the end goal is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
They don't know what a good cup of specialty coffee tastes like. And so the question is then, how do you get them there without coffee splaining them for an hour? And I think I try to break it down into easier components. Coffee is a fruit. Coffee should always be a little fruity. Caffeine as an isolated entity is bitter. So your coffee should always be a little bitter. But our goal here is balance. And that's, having one without the other, a good cup does not make. So starting there and helping them understand first that little bit of sour and a little bit of bitter, it can be a good thing. And it just might be something they're not used to. And the balance might be off a little bit. And I think that simplifies it. We don't need to talk about, all of the other smaller components that fall under why a coffee could be this or that.
Throw in a little sweetness and we've got it.
Right.
And I think, when people are making coffee starting out, like not specialty, let's just say you're a 22-year-old living on your own for the first time and you're like buying commercial coffee and you're throwing it in the maker, you're thinking, you're trying to like achieve some level of balance. But that balance might be between the strength of the coffee, the sugar that you're putting in, and the cream that you're putting in. But it's sort of the same principle. And so people are like spooning in however much coffee they desire in order to achieve some level of balance. But then when they make the leap to specialty, that goes completely out the window. Because as you said, there's acidity, there's a natural sweetness, and there's a natural bitterness. And we're trying to actually taste all those individual components.
Mm-hmm. And when you add cream and sugar to your coffee, in our minds, we're like, I just want this to taste good. Whatever good is to you, I just want this to taste good, or I want this to taste what I think it should taste like. But the reality is you're adding extra fat and extra sugar and all of these things into the cup. And if you have this $28 light roast anaerobic natural single origin with delicate tea-like profile that you're adding all of this sugar and fat to, it's going to wash it out. And it's going to taste like water.
It's not balanced at all.
No.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that's why I go back to my original thing of like, we have to start at the basics. And I don't ever expect a customer to know what anaerobic natural means or know what grind setting is appropriate for whatever device they have. Or no, I don't come into a conversation with our customers and have expectations of them. And I ask questions and then I meet them right where they're at. And if we need to go all the way to the beginning, cool. If they're like, I've been drinking specialty coffee for 30 years and I'm a member on the Specialty Coffee Association board, if that's a thing that exists, I don't actually know, whatever, what have you, great. Let me get Hayden for you. No, I'm just kidding. It's that whole concept of just meeting people where they're at. And I really try hard not to coffee splain people, or make them feel like that's what I'm doing when I'm not,
I mean, I know it has happened in the other way too, where, you had a customer who was so focused on our water. And,
oh, yes.
And making, wanted to know all the exact mineral content of our water in order to match it so that their brew matched ours. So you do get customers who are hyper-focused on the granular pieces.
Yeah, my science nerds.
Yeah.
And I love my nerds,
Those guys are fun, right?
Yeah, I love my nerds just as much as I love my beginners. And I will admit, we have a lot of customers that are way more nerdy than I am, or their knowledge. I mean, maybe they've been in specialty coffee for 20 plus years and they surpass my knowledge of specialty coffee.
It's a learning opportunity, right?
Yeah, I have something to learn from those customers, and I have taken so many things away. Shout out to Scott on Twitter. You know who I'm talking about. Scott is one of my favorite customers because he just, experiments galore. The man is a mad scientist of coffee. And
freezing coffees.
Yeah. Doing all kinds of, slow brew methods, bypass methods. Tweaking those and kind of like he's his own e-brick, if you will. It's like a walking e-brick method. Exists outside the laws of coffee brewing. And those customers are great and they're fun. And I have a lot to learn from those folks. So I feel like sometimes our customers have to meet me where I'm at. And I'm okay with that.
Well, you're putting in the work though. You've got your level 2 barista.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your level 2 brewers as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you're working with Grace.
Level 3 next week.
On level 3s next week.
Mm-hmm.
So putting in that work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's good for our customers to hear that though, because you won't find a snob in this building. It doesn't matter what your level of coffee knowledge is. Specialty coffee at its core, and this is another line I tell people, at its core, it is a coffee that has been, if we take it to the basics, a coffee that has been scored 80 or higher by the Specialty Coffee Association. That earns it the specialty title, right? And we can trace it back to.
Although I think we don't do anything lower.
We don't do anything below 97.
No, that's not true.
Just to be clear,
I think we don't do anything below 84 as a general rule. It would be very, very, very rare, and it would be something that would be a partner that we want to grow with. That is a small holder farm that wants to get into specialty, where we would go below 84 to try and help them, or try and produce a blend with that. But that's pretty rare.
Yeah, and I think simplifying it as well as I can helps new customers, saying, this coffee was evaluated by the SCA, the Specialty Coffee Association, which is a group of people who are coffee experts. We're putting in layman's terms here. And it scored appropriately to be considered specialty coffee. It's high grade, grown at high altitudes. It's traceable. We know where the coffee came from. This coffee has been, it's an art, I guess.
It's been taken care of.
Right.
I think that's it. That growing produce is a craft in itself, and it's sort of undervalued in many windows. Although, in the United States, we would say local organic farms sort of are the best analogy. And that if you are supporting a local organic farm, going to a farm stand and buying their broccoli and cauliflower and sweet peppers and carrots, and noting the difference between that and what you buy conventionally at the grocery store, and thinking about the hard work that's going into it, and probably acknowledging that that farmer is really not making that much money on it, even though they have to charge more because of the level of work that goes into it. That's the analogy to specialty coffee versus conventional coffee, is that specialty coffee requires a lot more work, and you have to charge a premium for it. And really, nobody's getting rich off of it. But people are working really hard for the love of what they do. Family farms and people who are passionate about coffee as a agricultural product. And we're just a kind of a cog in that wheel, as the piece that actually gets it to market.
Mm-hmm. And we take it and we roast it, which is the
15
last
minutes.
piece of it. 15 minutes, yeah.
12 minutes, I think.
And
That's how long it's in the roaster.
Right, yeah. And I was floored, by the way, when I found that out when I started. In my mind, I was like, it must take you hours to roast all this coffee.
It takes all day.
It takes all day long. And Tony, our director of coffee, was like, 10 minutes. I'm like, what? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a very concentrated effort for 12 minutes of watching every single piece and making sure that it comes out the way that we want it to.
Mm-hmm.
But still, 12 minutes. Yeah.
And that's not what you're getting with commercial coffee. And I think that's something else that I share with customers is, what's the difference between this and my Folgers I have at home, or this and my commercial coffee, whatever. Well, the smaller batches apart there. I mean, there's lots of differences, obviously, but I like to hone in on the fact that when we think about commercial coffee, it's in this gigantic roasting machine, and there's hundreds of pounds in there, and it's a mass.
Well, even the way it's
produced.
the way it's cultivated is mass produced too.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
The vast majority of conventional commercial coffee that's grown is grown on huge plantations, and it is picked mechanically, which is to say a giant tractor with fiberglass rods sticking off the sides goes and just shakes the tree until all the cherries fall out onto tarps on the ground, where it lays until it's dry. And then
so primal.
That's what they call a pulped natural, I think. And then they they take it half dry and run it through the mills. So it's just done on a much vaster commercial scale than specialty coffee, which is all picked by hand. I mean, it takes 4 hours to pick a basket full of specialty coffee by hand. I mean, people are picking, and they're picking just the ripe cherries.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go on and on, but
not to mention going back through it to check for debris and rocks and, anything else.
All of the standards are so high. And that goes into why it costs what it costs, really,
And I think hearing that as a new customer, it's eye-opening. Like, oh, and especially if someone, as somebody who used to have no concept of what we did within these four walls, that's mind-blowing to think about, that there are these incredible farmers out there that are hand-picking your coffee. It's just, It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, every bean in this building is picked by hand. It's a big deal.
It is. It's art.
Speaking of coffee, I'm down to my last sip. I forgot to even mention that we were drinking this coffee, but we're drinking coffee from Indonesia. Shout out to the
Our Indonesian friend.
butter sautéed farmhouse. But this is from Sumatra, and it is a co-ferment with lychee powder, a dried lychee powder. So this coffee is going to be available during our 12 Days of Coffee special, which is 12 coffees in the month of December. Very small quantities and small batches of these coffees. And this is one that we actually had last year, except for that they changed the way that they do it. Last year, they co-fermented, which is to say that they took demucilaged coffee cherries and put them with fresh lychee and lychee juice into an anaerobic state, which is in a barrel with no oxygen, basically, and let them ferment together.
That's how I like my coffee.
Well,
done in a barrel with no oxygen.
You drink a lot of it.
Do you?
I have to say. I mean, if you drink any of our Ethiopia anaerobic worka, you drink a lot of coffee from a barrel with no oxygen. This is done with a dried lychee powder, and so the profile is slightly changed. But man, the lychee still absolutely just comes through. But you and I were also talking about you're pulling peach out of it, which I
Absolutely
think is accurate.
Yeah.
Definitely like fermenty quality of like a kombucha almost. But really, I mean, I don't know how much of this we have. Not very much at all, but it's really, really delicious. Astounding coffee.
If you have more questions, call me and we can talk about it.
Yes. If you have more questions, call Tiff.
Yes.
I mean, I think I just want to end with the idea that, we think about customer service with an online company differently than we think about customer service in a restaurant or in a hotel or in a hospitality industry. I say the royal we, but I think that at Red Rooster, we don't make that distinction. I think we have our own cafe, so we have a sort of hospitality-focused restaurant in the front of our building. Rose and I spend a lot of time thinking about service when we are traveling or when we go out to dinner. I mean, most of the reason that we do go out to dinner is to enjoy the service and to observe the service to see if there's anything that we can learn. And I think that we have brought that idea to the phone and computer side of things, to the direct-to-consumer side of our business, to think in terms of hospitality. And I think that you have really actually advanced that in the work that you're doing here. So I just kind of leave you to say, do you have any more thoughts about that? Do you have associations with that? What are you trying to leave the customer with, in the end?
I'm always trying to leave the customer with an open door. That is the one thing that's most important to me. Like you said, when you go to a restaurant, the food might not be great, but if the service was incredible, I'm going back because I trust those folks to take care of me. And maybe I try something different next time. Maybe what I had to eat just wasn't for me. There's that open door left open, that open door of that I'm welcome to walk back through. And I want all of our customers to feel that way, whether you're on the phone with me or you're meeting me in person or what have you. I want you to, if a question pops up about your coffee or something goes wrong at home, I want you to think of me first. I want you to think, I need to call Tiffany at Red Rooster and ask her what's going on. And I want you to feel safe to do that. I want you to feel like, a lot of customers will say, Colin, I have a dumb question. No, you don't. You don't have a dumb question. I might have a dumb answer, but you don't have a dumb question. So that's my goal. You come to Red Rooster Coffee, you don't know who we are. You don't know if our coffee's good. You don't know if you would even like the people who work here. I'm here to open the door for you and make sure you know by the time you leave that you're going to be taken care of and you're going to love the coffee. And you might not love every coffee you try. And I want you to feel okay with calling us and saying, hey, I didn't love this, because not every coffee we have is going to be for you. And I think that's important for people to realize, that we have something for everybody, but the last one you drank might not be yours. So yeah, if you want to find a coffee that's right for you, and you want to talk to a friendly face or a friendly voice, and you want to feel like you're welcomed and can come back and be a customer for life, then you should probably call Tiffany.
I love it. Perfect. Call Tiffany.
Call Tiff. Call me, beat me.
All right. Well, thanks so much for taking the time
Absolutely.
today. I'm sure you got to get back and talk to those customers. But, if you like what you saw today, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out our other videos and informational videos that Grace is shooting. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.